Heidi ho, Rhinorinos, and welcome to my channel.
Everything about that made my hackles raise. What?
You've rankled my hackles.
No. I'll spankle your rankle. There's at least a few Magic the Gathering players that also got their hackles raised when I said that.
Well, rankled my hackles is a line spoken by Michael Dorn in a comedy TV show.
And Rankle the Spankle is the nickname for Rankle in Magic the Gathering.
Sure. Sure.
or the verb. You'll get the Rankle Spankle.
Oh my goodness. Hello, Cirrus. How are you?
I have been way too busy trying to get air conditioning and heat in my house finally. I If I tell you that the original quoted estimate for getting everything taken care of in my house was somewhere upwards of $35,000, would you believe me?
I also own a house, so yes.
Cool.
I know that these things are expensive. Thank you
That
for
made
the
me want to
hydrate,
fucking
Rhino
shoot
Rapscallion.
myself. It seems like we might be able to get this done for closer to between 8 and 10, maybe ish. Hopefully, we'll see. Because we're gonna go to a mini split system because that seems to be what will actually work with the kind of power that our house has. It has a 125.
Sure.
Dorito, we have a 125, and apparently getting a heat pump requires a 220. Which means we would need to do a $12,000 upgrade to our electrical system, which is there is no money for that. So yeah, but going to a mini split system that seems to actually work with the kind of power that we have in the house, and it does heat and it does air and it doesn't require ducts, which is good because our ducts are also all broken.
Isn't mini split system just a type of heat pump?
Yes.
So how is that different from you mean as opposed to like a central air heat pump?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, it's because central air requires ducts, and a mini split is a ductless
Quack.
system.
Quack.
All right. Well, it's been a nice time, everybody. Thank you for showing up, and I'm just gonna be somewhere around by.
It's more air conditioners. I hate to be that guy, but did you get my email? Probably. Which account did you send it to?
Did you get that thing I sent you?
I don't know. I don't remember seeing anything from your username specifically, but today is one of the days when I forgot to write down who sent me what. So I don't know.
So everything today is from your anonymous source.
Except for the thing that absolutely nobody sent me that I was expecting everybody to send me. So
Progress only just sent me a DM saying they quoted you that high for the 220 line because they don't want to do it. It doesn't actually cost that much. Right. I would agree with you if it wasn't multiple electricians who quoted me that. So I guess multiple electricians just went.
You also
Fuck
live out in the
this
boonies,
shit.
so a service upgrade is more. Like for me, a service upgrade, like because of where I live, the power lines are like right there with a transformer like on the corner. So like upgrading my system is expensive, but it's not that expensive. But like I could easily see that like if they have to run new lines all the way out to the actual public utility area thing, yeah, that's like power lines are not cheap.
Dorito says, Cirrus, you aren't even saying it right. Dorito, I do not have the requisite autism to care about the correct way to say it. I have the trading card and the blue hedgehog autism. I don't have the train one, and I don't have the HVAC one.
All right, so heat pumps are used for heating in Florida where it doesn't get cold enough to need forced air furnace for the most part. So here's the fun thing about that. My air conditioner is on the fritz. It is likely not going to last another season. When we replace it, we are going to replace it with a heat pump, even up here in Canada, where it gets down to like, it got down to minus 30. And that's Celsius this winter. And that is cold enough that a heat pump will stop working. But the way the systems would generally be installed is be like a hybrid system where you still have a furnace, but it only kicks in when the heat pump doesn't work. So for the most part, you just heating with your heat pump, which is cheaper, more efficient, Electricity's cheaper than gas. And yeah, I don't know. Just go watch Technology Connections if you want to know all the ins and outs of heat pumps. It's kind of his thing.
Speaking of that, that is one other thing. So like my power bill right now is 480 something. But that's because I'm on a flat bill, so technically my power bill was supposed to be $800 this last month. That was a fun thing to see on my power bill. That made me want to kill myself. But apparently the split systems, because heat pumps are as efficient as they are, is such a efficient system compared to what I'm using. It should lower my AC and heat cost by 60%, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But like it's a 30%. So apparently like the window units are 30% more inefficient or 30% less efficient than a central air pump or a central AC. And then the mini splits are 30% more efficient than a central AC from what I've been reading. So like that's just going to be less money I have to spend, which feels good because I don't have that much to spend.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yay.
no, that's going to be my thing. And so growing up, I was always like, we didn't have air conditioning growing up. And for lots of years in my adult life, I was basically of the opinion that like, I didn't need air conditioning growing up. So, you know, my kids don't need air conditioning now, but the summers just kept getting hotter and hotter until eventually it was like, okay, I guess we actually do need air conditioning. It's like becoming a health and safety thing. So
Yeah.
So we still don't use it as much as like it's not on all the time, and especially in the springtime, it's like I'd rather have fresh air in the house. Let's open the windows.
Dorito says CR2 isn't actually that efficient, but it will be much better than window units. I understand that, and I appreciate you probably know more about this than I do. I'm just going off of the things that I have read on this as a non-expert. I'm excited to see what my power bill looks like, though. Not really, but, you know. Fleur, thank you so much for the raid. Fuck you, die. I'm kidding. What were you doing over there?
Raid.
Halo Combat Evolved, so you were probably still trying to do your legendary playthrough over there, right? Also, we got a shout out for Fleur. If you guys can go follow Fleur, they just started streaming. That'll be awesome.
Yeah. Oh, that did kind of remind me though. I did kind of chuckle a little bit when you got the question from someone on your chat who was like, "Oh, I'm just going to lurk from now on because every time I ask a question, I get cursed out." And your response to that was, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Like that's what the fuck they were talking about, Surus. What's wrong with you? Like, I thought you did that on purpose, but then you were like reading through the chat and like, oh no, he's just completely unaware of what he just did.
Yep, look. Again, blue hedgehog and trading card autism, not the social one.
Well, I don't know if I've told you this before, but my partner reminded me of it today, is that the first thing that tipped her off that I might not be neurotypical was that when we started dating, we would be on the phone with each other, and then she would say goodbye to me, and my response would be to say, "Okay, bye," and then hang up. Because apparently the neurotypical people would be like, "Oh no, you hang up first." No, you like they do that thing.
But
like, no, that's just a stupid thing they do in TV shows for comedy, right?
That just wastes time. I need to go to my next thing, and when my thing with you is over, I will go to my next thing.
We have said goodbye. That means the conversation is over. So now I hang up the phone because that's what you do when you're done on the phone. But yeah, that's. I understand social cues.
I have
goodbye
no idea
is a social
what
cue.
Is. Well, yeah, goodbye is a social cue, so I go.
Yeah. I don't see the problem with that.
Jesus Christ.
Did I hear about the McDonald's CEO eating a burger like he was threatened? I did hear about that. I didn't see it, but like he like takes the smallest little bite and is like, "Oh, that's a big burger." And like,
so Saki got that burger recently because she saw the advert for it and was like, "I just need to try it." And it's it's just a fucking double quarter pounder. That's all it is.
Hmm.
It's no bigger than a fucking double quarter pounder. It has one more slice of cheese. It's a different kind of cheese, but it's just one more slice of cheese and a special sauce. But other than that, it's the same burger as a double quarter pounder. Unless you want to count the poppy seeds in the bun as making it extra special.
So my question is, why does the CEO need to pretend to like the food? Like, does anybody look at fast food and be like, yes, that is good food that I get because it tastes better than any other food options in my area? Or is it that fast food is fast? It's easy to grab food when I don't have to get out of my car. I can just hit the drive-through, and I don't feel like cooking tonight.
I mean,
That is the only reason I get fast food is
so
for the
you have to
convenience
remember
factor.
that the CEO is doing that as an advertisement for the burger. It is supposed to be an endorsement of the burger that they are making. But when he can't call his food food, and he has to call it product, which don't get me wrong, when you're working at McDonald's, you don't call it food either. You call it product. It's always product. But the way it looks from the outside looking in, when they will not take a big bite of their burger, they cannot call it food, and they are just they are not treating this like, oh, this is something that is good that I get to eat. It is more, this is a burger and it is big and it is fast, and that is all there is.
Mm-hmm.
For most people, that doesn't look great because like there really isn't any fast food that
I'm sorry.
markets
Bring
itself.
truth back into advertising. Just call it what
There,
it is. Here's the sad burger that you get when you don't feel like cooking.
okay,
You could
so,
make a better one yourself, but you didn't have to make this one. That's why you're here.
but
I want that
remember
advertisement.
remember that advertisements don't generally go, "Hello, Vice Rhino. When you want a burger, this is one." that's that's
Our
as far
crappy
as I
burgers.
can
No,
go.
you can still advertise the quality. Like our crappy burgers are slightly better than the competitor's crappy burger, but they're all crappy burgers. You could make yourself a better burger at home, but you don't have to make this burger. So come and get this burger.
Sakura says apparently Burger King got their CEO to eat one of their burgers. Yeah, so Burger King's response to it was funny, where they got like their double Whopper, which is the same thing as the double quarter pounder basically, and he was just like, "Huh." Anyway, and just took like this big fucking bite of the burger and acted like he enjoyed it. And it's just like, yeah, you know what? Burger King is the bottom of the barrel when it comes to fast food. I'm sorry. There isn't a fast food option I can think of in my area that's worse than them.
Taco Bell.
No. Taco Bell is there for you when you need it. Taco I'm sorry.
And it'll be there for you again in an hour.
I cannot in any way, shape, and form argue against Taco Bell because that was like the best survival food of all time.
I have trauma from working there.
I actively looked forward to the beefy crunch burritos whenever I had the money for them.
Okay, Lord of Ozkalak is using the highlight my message thing that I've been forgetting about again. Says, your reminder that if you see food steaming on an advert, it's because they've hidden a microwaved soggy tampon inside it. Is that how they get the food to steam?
That's one way of doing it. There's a lot of ways to do it. But it's like if you see a burger in a commercial, it's never stacked up like a burger. It's
No,
actually
yeah, they have it like on a
it's stacked
weird,
up. Yeah, it's stacked
crooked
up at an
tiered thing.
angle. Yeah, like there's all kinds of ways that that food is made so that it looks appetizing, even if it's not really what's going on. Another fun one is if you see a bowl of ice cream on any advertisement, you're actually looking at a bowl of mashed potatoes 9 times out of 10 because the studio lights that are
They
required,
don't melt.
yeah, the studio lights that are required to make those shots look as good as they do melt ice cream, but they don't melt mashed potatoes.
Hey, LEDs are a thing now. They still make heat, but they don't send as much of it to the talent.
Right. They are better. Speaking of that, the older, much hotter lamps, that was one of the reasons that that Nixon was considered like a filthy, sweaty liar. And that was just one of his things that was attributed to him because we had moved to color TV, and when he was having his presidential race against his opponent was actually media trained when he was going against Kennedy. So Kennedy's just like, yeah, I've got makeup on. I look perfectly fine under a heat lamp. And Nixon's just sitting there like, "Ah, man, this is a bit much."
Uh, all right. Shall we do some news?
Sure, why not? I can't think of anything else I'd rather be doing with my day.
I could think of a few things. I finally got the VR thing set up so I can
You're
play
right.
Beat
My
Saber
hand
again.
is one of them. I would rather be doing my hand. You're right.
Okay. Not your left?
No, no, I definitely my left.
Are you
I feel
left-handed?
like I'm not left-handed, but you need the right hand for the mouse.
No, you don't.
Do you do you not go and find a video, like, do you not click through multiple videos?
So I have a split keyboard. So the mouse just moves into the middle of the keyboard where my left hand can reach it.
So your mouse is basically right above your dick at that point?
Uh-huh. Sure. Raven says,
Okay.
must we? Okay. Speaking of jerking it,
What?
the
Okay.
American military. Hey, I'm sure. So,
Yay, we're in Iran.
well, yeah. So you guys have heard that story about how apparently a military leader was like, "Hey, no, we're going to Iran to usher in Armageddon and the second coming of Christ."
Yep.
Yeah. So Hemant Mehta did a little bit of. Well, I don't even. He didn't really even do digging. He just did some critical thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
He also contacted the person that the story came from, but there's some issues with the story.
Okay.
So as much as it does fit our narrative of what Trump is trying to do with the military and with how dangerous Christian nationalism is, it's also important to say true things.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, Hammond points out enough issues with the story that, like, I'm not going to say that it didn't happen, but I'm not comfortable saying that it did happen.
So, when I covered this on my channel, I think my perspective, and granted, maybe somebody's going to go in the video, scrutinize it, and find out that maybe I didn't scrutinize this enough, but my perspective is that we know what the Seven Mountains Mandate is. We are aware of the goal of the Seven Mountains Mandate. So whether or not an actual individual officer said these exact words, we know that higher up, that is not only a goal, but the goal. So I understand wanting to scrutinize it. I understand wanting to make sure that we are factually reporting. All of that makes perfect sense, but I think it all needs to be said with the caveat of there is a reason that people
There's a reason this
believe
resonated.
Yeah, there's a reason this resonated with people, irrespective of that. I do want to know if it is actually true, that because if it is actually true, then that is more of a red flag. That is more of a red alarm.
Yes.
That is more of something to be worried about. We don't want to do the JD Vance where we go, we lie so people will pay attention to a thing. That's a stupid fucking perspective.
Well, unless we're talking about couch fucking.
Unless we're talking about couch fucking, but like that's just libel.
That one's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine libel. But the reason that resonated with so many people is that the Seven Mountains Mandate is a thing that tries to bring about the Armageddon, and it's not a secret. It's a thing that is very, very well known.
Yeah. So I'm actually working on a video right now that's kind of going through the history of Christian Zionism in the United States, and kind of got its first political push with Woodrow Wilson,
Okay.
who also just happens to be the president who he screened the first ever motion picture in the White House. Like, first time that was screened in the White House, it was him. Do you recall by any chance which motion picture he chose to screen as the first one to ever be screened in the White House?
I do not know.
Birth of a Nation.
Oh.
And it was one of his favorite movies. So that's the guy who gave Christian Zionism its first political pushes.
Huh.
I mean, it goes back earlier than that. Like, President John Adams wrote in a letter to I forget what his position was in the government, but he was fired from his position in the government essentially for being Jewish, and he never really got a response to like why he was fired, but it was very clearly because he's Jewish. And when John Adams wrote him a letter, which didn't really go over why he was fired, but part of the letter was like, I wish that, like, you know, I read your work about your travels through Syria and Asia and all that, and you know what? It was really moving, and I really wish that I was fighting beside you and 100,000 Jews to take back your homeland so that they could have a home of their own. And that was like 1820-ish, somewhere around there.
Huh.
So it's not like it didn't have political support before then, but Woodrow Wilson was the first president to actually like, because like that was just like one offhanded letter from John Adams. There isn't really anything else there. And then there's like a few smatterings throughout the 1800s, but then Woodrow Wilson is when it actually started its push. Anyway, fascinating stuff. And it get me the funniest Amazon alert I've ever had. I ordered this book written in 1878 called Jesus is Coming.
Jesus is Coming.
So I got an Amazon notification saying,
Jesus
is coming today.
Coming?
Jesus is coming today.
Oh my God.
And he came.
I guess he did. Like,
Yeah.
Technically, that is not an inaccurate statement.
Yeah. It's not a very well written book. I don't know how because this is the book that is largely credited with kickstarting the Christian Zionist movement before it got to the political thing, and it's not well written. It's like there's nothing like the entire first chapter sounds like something that you would hear a modern day street preacher yelling at people as they walk past, and not like one of the crazy end is nigh ones, just like any of the ordinary street preachers.
But like, you got to think that style of preaching became popular for a reason. So, like, maybe it makes a little bit of sense.
Maybe it doesn't have quite the same kick when it's written down.
No, it doesn't. But you know, you can always read the audiobook if you need that experience.
There probably are a few versions of that. Actually, so I found myself, I was so bored with the Christian street preaching stuff as I was reading it that like I started. My mind just started wandering, and like there are a few spots in there where like he's referencing future pages, and that's like I only just got the book today. I've been reading it on archive.org, and it was like the archive is a scanned version of like one of the original print runs. And so as I'm reading it, my mind is so bored it's wandering to like, how did they reference future pages in a book in the 1800s? Because like they'd have to write that many pages, but then once they reference it, that has the potential to bump the page number up or down, and like he does it several times. So it's like he had to keep meticulous track of like every single spot where he would have referenced a future page number, and then made sure to change them all to actually fit with where the typesetting was going to have them be. And that's what I was thinking about while reading his whole end is nigh bullshit.
And you wondered if you're autistic?
Yes.
It was actually a question with a measure of doubt in your mind.
Yes.
Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating.
Is that not a question you want the answer to?
No, not really.
Well, that makes me think that people that wrote books back then, like they had to be autistic, because the amount of extra work that had to go into just like planning the layout of the book is just like, no, that's too much. Okay.
It's just no.
It's just no. First hat, almost a half an hour in. That's a long time to wait for a hat. Everybody's points must be gone.
Jesus Christ.
Thank you, Conton83, for the hat. Okay, back to this war story thing. So on Monday, independent journalist Jonathan Larson posted about how a combat unit commander told a handful of officers that the war in Iran was part of a religious crusade and that Donald Trump was anointed by Jesus to light a signal fire in Iran to cause Armageddon, mark his return to Earth. Now, this entire thing is based on one single source, Mikey Weinstein of the Military Religious Freedom Foundation. And he has a copy of the email. And he says that the complaints came from more than 40 different units spread across at least 30 military installations, and totaled 110 complaints.
Now, see, that's the part that I had not heard, that there was a bunch of instances of this happening. I only
Yeah,
heard of the one.
that's
Is
this is
that's
part of what
evidence of a
makes it
game?
fishy.
That's evidence of a game of telephone happening.
So that's part of what. Well, I don't even know that it's a game of telephone at this point. It's one guy that keeps changing his story. So Hemmant says he doesn't have any reason to doubt Weinstein. He doesn't think he's making any of this up, but there are a few concerns here. So first, it's a single source. Like, this is one email going to one organization that claims to be representing all these different people. So it's not that they got 110 individual complaints. It's that they got one complaint that claims to be representing 110 individual people, which if you go to their website now, it's over 200, but they don't have new complaints. It's just the same email.
That is definitely evidence things are a little fucky at that point.
Yeah. But then Hammond also brings up, if a commander in the military was arguing that this war is part of a religious crusade, why did no other media organization report on the story? So, like, why aren't these people that are making complaints, why aren't they going to official channels? Why aren't they going to different media outlets? Why are they all going to this one guy? It's like
that's fair.
They have complaints. There are people in the military whose job it is to handle these complaints that they know about, and none of them have been handling these complaints. It's all been just this one guy who got emails.
And that definitely would be,
and
that would be some evidence there at that point, because
it's also the MRFF, which I forget what it stands for. He said it somewhere, but the MRFF, Military Religious Freedom Foundation, something like that. I'd never heard of them before this, but I was aware that there were official channels within the military where you can handle this sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So, like, how are all these military service members, who are surely much more familiar with the process than I am, how are they all going to this one obscure organization as opposed to going through the official channels or just going to the press themselves?
Yeah. No, I can definitely see how things don't add up when you put it that way.
Yeah. Also, nobody has named the actual commander who made the comments.
You would think that that would also be...
Yeah, especially, like, if you're reporting anonymously. Like, that's why you report anonymously, so that...
Yeah, you do a name and shame.
Yeah.
No. Definitely valid points. Like, there's definitely valid points there.
Yeah, and that's the main thing that I wanted to talk about with this. Like, there's a whole article that goes with it. There's issues with the MRFF has had similar stories, and the emails that they post that were breaking these similar stories always follow a very similar structure and writing style. So
like, it's very, very convenient for us to have this, like, smoking gun, but the smoking gun might not actually be there.
Yes. So definitely recommend going to read this article for yourself, reading all the way through, because there's a lot there. But, like, like I said, I'm not... It's too... For lack of a better term, it is too cromulent an accusation for me to ignore. But there's also too many little nagging questions like this for me to be completely comfortable being like, yeah, no, this for sure happened.
Dorito says, I can answer that. Can answer what?
I love chat lag.
I don't know what that's in reference
I love chat
to.
lag. It makes it so fun when people reference things that we say.
Yep.
I can't tell if Rhino is wearing a fez, a dunce cap, or a traffic cone. It is a fez. It's got the little tassel. I was trying to flip the tassel, but... All right.
What stuff?
Did stuff
I don't
drop
trust whatever's about to come out of your mouth.
Well, it's stuff, so it could be anything.
You're right. It could be. They can be very creative.
Otaku Senpai says word of the day is cromulent. Yeah, so if you're not familiar with the term cromulent, it originates from an episode of The Simpsons where the writers were like having a bet with each other that they could make up a word and just have it like have people believe that it was an actual word, and cromulent was what they came up with. And the way that they snuck it in was just perfect because like it was the episode about Jebediah Springfield, Jebediah or Jedediah, I don't know, one of those two, the founder of Springfield, where he said something about noble spirit embiggens the heart or something like that. I don't know what their motto was. I don't have the entirety of The Simpsons memorized. He used the word embiggens, and one of the teachers was like, huh, you know, I'd never heard the word embiggens before I moved to Springfield. I don't even know that it's a real word. And Mrs. Krabappel responded like, oh, it's a perfectly cromulent word.
Yep.
So like they made it mean like they made up a word to win the bet or whatever and just inserted it in the most blatant, like, I dare you to call me on this shit moment of the show. It's great. And so now it is now become an actual word, essentially. I'm pretty sure it's in the dictionary.
It is a word now.
I'm pretty sure it's in the dictionary, so. There we go. A noble heart embiggens even the smallest man. Thank you, Doremo 10. That sounds like the quote. Mr. Plowking would like to know what the Simpsons are. I don't believe that you don't know that, Mr. Plowking. Okay, moving on. The Texas Bible-infused curriculum is in chaos after hundreds of errors are identified. It's actually thousands. I don't know why they went for hundreds in the...
It's a Bible-infused curriculum. It's already not really, like, caring too much about the truth. So you're going to find some errors.
Well, I mean, to be fair, it might not be thousands in the sense that it's over 2,000. Because there were 4,000 individual errors that were found, but a lot of them are duplicates. So it might just be 1,900. But 1,900 is bigger than hundreds, I would say. And
yeah,
Lord of Ozkalak redeemed a highlight my message to also say a noble spirit embiggens the smallest man. So we got 2 for that.
Yay!
But yes, so a controversial Bible-infused curriculum authorized for Texas public schools in 2024, despite significant pushback, is now set for extensive corrections after hundreds of errors were identified by teachers and education officials. The material has already been introduced into classrooms. So it's
already been introduced into classrooms, but we have found a fuck ton of errors with it that should call everything there into question. But it's the Bible, so it's not going to call things into question. People are just going to accept it on its face because it's what they do.
Anselin for 100 says, did they copy from the Sinner's Bible? I don't know what the Sinner's Bible is off the top of my head. Is that the one? Oh, no, that's the one that misprinted the 10 Commandments as thou shalt commit adultery. There's another one. It might be the same one, but I know there's another Bible misprint where it says that God has showed us his great ass, but it was supposed to be greatness.
But I mean, if he created all things, then surely he's created a great ass.
And there was that time when he mooned Moses. So surely he has showed at least Moses his great ass.
It's a perfectly cromulent reason to have a great ass.
Yeah. So this just kind of highlights like Christian laziness. Like I don't want to necessarily say like I'm not saying all Christians are lazy, but there is a laziness about Christian themed things. So like it's a long running joke. I think South Park did an episode on it. I'm pretty sure The Simpsons did an episode on it about how like if you're trying to like do something like being in a band or something, but you're not good and nobody likes you.
You just make it about Jesus.
Just make it about Jesus.
South Park. Yeah, it was South Park because it was Cartman made love songs.
Oh, no,
it was just
King of the Hill was the other one I was thinking of, where he's like, "You're not making skateboarding better. You're just making rock and roll worse," or whatever it was.
Hold on. Stoff is saying Cirrus, you gotta check out my art. The last time I checked out your art, I was
Don't check out Stoff's art on stream, Cirrus. That's a dangerous proposition.
okay. Clicking away from that. I've I've seen much and I've seen plenty, but what I've also seen is enough. Good. I'm good.
Yeah. So this also ties into like this is such a well-known phenomenon that like I have seen articles written by pastors, Christian pastors, who have been like, if I ever see a company that advertises itself as being a Christian company or having Christian values, or it has like the Jesus fish in its logo, or it's got the word king in it in a clear reference to Christianity or whatever, he avoids them. This Christian pastor avoids them because he has learned from experience
garbage.
that those people do shoddy work and overcharge for it.
Don't you want to support Jesus Christ our Lord? Why would you not want to support his endeavors on earth?
And that's the thing, like the evolutionary explanation for why religion exists is, well, one of them is that it's an efficient way of signaling that you're part of the in-group. I know the same religious rituals as you. I worship the same God as you, so you can trust me. I'm in the same in-group as you, even though I came from a city that you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And so Christian business owners, or possibly not Christian business owners who have learned to, play the game, are taking advantage of that. They're signaling that they are members of the in-group so that the members of the in-group will have a blind trust for them. I mean, like, oh, this has to be, this has to be the good price because it's a good Christian.
He's a
Good
man.
Christian
What are you
man.
talking
He's not
about?
going to overcharge me for that. And like, oh, he must have done the best that he could, even though it didn't, like, his work didn't hold up. He must have done the best that he could because he's a good Christian man.
He's good. He's Christian. I don't see the problem.
And so same thing
Y'all
comes
just
here.
hate Jesus.
They say, oh, we want to do a Christian curriculum, and the people that just want to make a cash grab on it just do the shoddy work, and they make a bunch of mistakes, and here we are with a bad curriculum with a bunch of mistakes in it.
Y'all
Costly signaling. I think costly signaling is the one where you are actually doing something like giving up something, making a sacrifice of some kind in a showy way so that other people can see you do that.
I'm gonna give it up for Lent.
Yeah,
I'm gonna tell everybody
giving up for
that
Lent
I
is a
gave
good
it up
example
for
of that. Yeah. Sean Helfin says, I mean, I remember this is the reason why we had rainbow capitalism, although rainbow capitalism doesn't offer the option of must kill everyone in the Middle East. Yeah, no, rainbow capitalism is actually very similar to that. We put a rainbow flag on our product, so now all you LGBTQ people can shop at our store.
Don't you want to support LGBTQ things? Now, granted, I will say, because I've mentioned this in the past, rainbow capitalism is technically a good thing, but it's not good for the reasons that most people would think.
It's
rainbow
good
capitalism...
because it indicates that society has moved to a point where it is seen as profitable to support progressive ideas.
Correct. Like it is a signal. It is a signal of a good thing. It is not evidence that a country is good or morally fine or anything of that. Like none of that is what is signaled at all with rainbow capitalism, but it does show that you have a society that is trending in a better way, which is not much.
Now, I do want to make a distinction here because there's a difference between rainbow capitalism, the way a company like, say, Target does it, and rainbow capitalism, the way, like if you go, there are a lot of little communities in my area that have like a little downtown sector that is just a bunch of like someone who's good at a particular craft opened a store where they sell nothing but that thing.
And then they have like a flag.
Some of them will have
outside.
like a flag. And so in those instances, it's like, okay, well, this store probably has like 2 employees and both of those employees are related to the owner.
Right, but remember that, so I do the distinction just because I've had a few videos that I've done recently on fucking, what is it, Jubilee, where they had like socialists versus capitalists, and then nobody was like defining what either of those were, but having very strong opinions on them, and it was fucking infuriating.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you start defining what things are, then you end up with the Jordan Peterson Christian one.
like so a thing that I pointed out in that video was that capitalism is not money exists. Capitalism is a person can consolidate capital in such a way to create a corporation. Like that is what capitalism allows for. That is the material conditions that capitalism enables. So when we point out like a small mom and pop business or like, the little like LGBTQ owned business, whatever the fuck the case may be, that that business can exist irrespective of capitalism. It's
Hmm.
not required there. So like I would say that that's categorically not part of rainbow capitalism in any way, shape, or form because capitalism has nothing to do with it at that point.
Yeah, okay. That feels like a little bit of splitting hairs, but I do see what you're getting at.
Like it's splitting hairs, but I'm okay with splitting those hairs because like worker co-ops are a thing, stuff like that.
And I mean, it highlights the same difference that I was highlighting is that it, like, when a rainbow flag is in a mom and pop shop store, it is more of a signifier than when it's on a sticker on the door of a big box shop.
Correct.
It's like when like our local Canadian Tire, which is like a hardware store that we have up here in Canada. Um, our local one has one of the "This is a safe space" stickers on it, but you go in there and like it's just a store. I don't know. It actually kind of gives me the creeps because as long as I've lived here, the Canadian Tire in my area has been staffed almost entirely by teenage girls, and it's a hardware store.
Hmm.
So to me, that says that there's someone doing hiring that is wanting to have more teenage girls around than other people that might apply for the job. And that makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's a red flag. That was like fucking there was a manager at my McDonald's before they transferred to another one back when I was working at McDonald's. This manager was like known for being weird around the females in the store, specifically the younger ones. Like obviously everybody was an adult, but still like very specifically if somebody was like low teens, not low teens, but like high teens, very, very low 20s, these were the people that he would tend to focus on a lot more often.
Mm-hmm.
And when he got promoted to store manager years later, because like I left the company and then came back after a time. I don't because I lost one of my jobs and I needed employment, so I went with an old employer that I still had a good rapport with. When I went there and he had been promoted to store manager, I noticed that the store that he was manager of, when I went there to do some training before I went like training to be a manager, the whole staff were women, all of them. And that's
Mm.
not a bad thing in isolation, but like
Yeah, no,
it definitely felt a little weird.
yep. Yeah, like I am not anti teenage girl working at a hardware store, but when that's like, I know, like, just statistically, that is not the demographic that is most likely to apply for jobs at a hardware store. I don't
Right.
think
So when you've made that your entire staff, that means that
that
you
that
have
seems like that is an intentional filter. That is not just an accident, and it's been like that for years. Like this is not a I went in once and thought that was weird. This is like every time. So when I see the rainbow flag sticker on their door, I'm just like, yeah, but whoever's in charge of hiring here is kind of gross. So I don't necessarily believe that flag sticker.
they know that if they like the gays, they will get more girls, which like
Okay,
is
well, I mean,
also a good
maybe,
signal, I guess.
maybe like I've just been assuming it's a guy. Maybe it's a girl who is a lesbian, and that like,
Who knows?
but yeah, no,
Like it could
it's a
signal
red flag.
other perfectly benign things,
It
but
it
there's
could.
also enough of a chance that it is signaling something that is not benign that
I'm
the
just gonna
worry
call it
is
now.
there.
The owner of our local Canadian Tire is in the Epstein files.
Okay.
Okay, moving on.
Jesus.
So this is a follow up to a story we did a little while ago. So you remember when California was like, we're not going to hire ICE agents to be cops or teachers?
Yeah, and I remember getting comments in my comment section where people were like, leftists falling for their own trick. When you make people who are disenfranchised unemployable, you force them to engage in more and more heinous crimes. I'm just like,
I mean, if we had
I,
universal basic income, that wouldn't be an issue.
yeah, it's like I understand where you're coming from, but also I don't think that that's a real salient criticism.
No, it's not.
No, and it's mainly because if we had a Nazi soldier and they went and committed terrible war crimes, like what would you want to be the recompense for that person? What scenario do you think would be better for society where that person's concerned? We can just reintegrate everybody back in. Like that is not a thing that is impossible, but there is a social stink and a social stigma that I think has utility.
So
And
there's a you made me think of there's a Christian movie called In God's Time. The God Awful Movies guys did it last week, I think. And one of the subplots of that movie is there's a homeless man who like so the idea is there's this watch that if you put the watch on and look at it, it glows, and then you have a seizure, and while you're having a seizure, you have a flashback to the important moments of your life, and then when you come out of that, you're suddenly Christian. And it fixes your
okay,
life. Yeah, it makes just as much sense as it sounds like. But the one guy this happens to is a homeless guy, and he basically the way he stops being a homeless guy is he shaves, washes his face, puts on a suit, and suddenly he's just a normal guy. And then when you hear his backstory, he's like, "Oh yeah, I was a civil engineer over that place over there, but one day I just decided that I didn't like work anymore, so I abandoned my family and my job and was homeless by choice." And so that is their view of homeless people.
okay.
So as long as people have that view of homeless people, then I'm not really worried about ICE agents ending up on the streets.
Yeah, I
And I
can
mean,
I can see
honestly,
that.
like if you're worried about them becoming more violent criminals, is like they're already extremely violent criminals. They just have the backing of the federal government right now, so they're not being arrested for it. So if they're going to be doing violent crimes, I'd rather them be doing violent crimes in a situation where they can be arrested for it and no longer able to do violent crimes.
Yeah, would it be an improvement if the group of people that are doing the bad thing were de-incentivized from doing the bad thing?
Yes, it would. But yeah, so anyway, there's four Democratic-led states now that are doing this. It's so California, New Jersey, Maryland, I think, is one. They didn't actually give a list, but they just yeah, Maryland was one, and I'm not sure what the fourth one is. Let's say New Hampshire. No, it wouldn't be New Hampshire.
Let's say New Hampshire.
It wouldn't be New Hampshire. Not those guys. Not the live free or die state. That was a bad guess.
Fucking hell.
Oh, yeah, the libertarians are like, yeah, no, we're going to government mandate which jobs you're not allowed to have.
No,
Oh,
that's not happening.
I'm good at American culture.
To be fair, so is everybody else because
So,
there's not really a whole lot going on there.
one of the things that I found interesting about this, I think this is The Guardian. Is The Guardian, does The Guardian kind of lean right?
Not really. They're kind of more like pseudo left centristy. They're very Democrat.
Okay, because this sentence right here, the bills underscore the Democratic state lawmakers' determination to undermine Trump's hardline immigration policy. The way that's worded seems very friendly to the Trump cause. These Democrats are trying to undermine what I'm doing.
I
You're
don't
undermining the authority of the president.
I don't think I hear it in the same tone as you do, I guess, because that just sounds like a
I
a
mean,
factual statement.
I, to be clear, I think that undermining Trump's policies is a good thing. But I feel like the wording there is friendly to like other news outlets that might want to spin this as like these Democrats are doing everything they can to oppose Trump for no other reason than he is Trump. They hate America. They're trying to undermine him. So
I
like,
don't know.
I don't know.
That doesn't ring that way to me.
Okay, you guys keep redeeming the highlight my message. I am sorry. I've probably missed a bunch of them. It says probably Seattle. I mean, it makes sense. We did get attacked. Seattle's not a state though. That would be Washington. Maybe Washington's the other one. I could see it being Washington. But yeah, no. Okay, maybe you don't see that as being friendly to the right-leaning media, but that raised a red flag for me.
That's entirely fair, and I can see why it raised a red flag. It just doesn't really
New
raise
hat.
the same one for me.
New hat.
I don't know which one of us is technically correct in that scenario, but
I haven't done the octopus hat in a while. Oh, there's a piece of Velcro stuck to my octopus.
sounds like a sex thing.
You're not wrong. Yeah. Hi.
Hi, Mr. Octopus. How are you today?
I am good. My hat is being chewed on by, or my head is being chewed on by a beak.
Your hat is being chewed on by a beak, huh?
My head.
Fair enough.
So they say, if you're an ICE agent, you're signing up to engage in unlawful conduct. You're signing up to engage in racially profiling Latino communities. You're signing up to engage in illegal detentions and deportations of people who have legal rights in this country. You're signing up for the separation of families and children. So that's what Democratic New Jersey Assemblyman Ravi Bala told The Guardian with regards to these bills. And like, yeah,
Those are
you're
true
signing
statements.
up. You're signing up to do these unlawful things. So we do not want you in law enforcement. And I feel like that is fine.
Yeah, that's a series of truthful statements. You have decided, if you want to be an ICE agent, you have decided that, like, in your list of priorities, things that you think are important, ripping people away from their families is somewhere high enough on that list to rank a priority.
Yeah, so my video coming out this Friday, I very much make the connection between Christian apologetics and apologetics for the genocide in Gaza, the behavior of the ICE agents, the demonization of immigrants as a category of people to make arresting 5-year-olds a thing that they see as acceptable. Because, fun fact, when you spend your entire career looking at the Canaanite genocides in the Bible and explaining why, why it was justified for the Israeli army to go in and kill all the babies, then when the Israeli army goes into Palestine and kills all the babies today, it becomes easier for you to justify that because you've been spending your entire career doing that.
Yep. And I feel like that connection should be really easy for most people to make. Like,
it's not even different combatants. It's still the Israelis.
So we know that religion can be used as a way to introduce people to ideas that they might otherwise not be quite as soft on, right? Like, I knew this as a kid. So whenever I mentioned anything about something that I liked, my mom was incredibly religious, so I knew that if I skewed what I was saying to the angle of Christian somethingdom in some way, shape, or form, I generally got a more positive response on whatever I was trying to convince my mom of in any way, shape, or form. And ever since figuring that out, like, it just kind of occurred to me at that young, maybe, just maybe, religion is a way that we can use to get people to accept things that they normally would not accept. Like, I know that the quote, I think it's a Hitchens quote, was, you can make a good person do good things, you can make a bad person do bad things, but you need religion to make a good person do bad things.
Hitchens certainly said it, but it didn't originate with him.
Yeah,
I forget the name of the person that said it first, but
it's also not the most accurate statement because there are bits of omission, because you get people like, what's this fuck?
As is the case with all pithy statements, there is more nuance to it than it gets across, but it is generally true.
Yeah, it generally gets the idea across, and that is fine. but there are enough situations where I'm just like, that's kind of not 100%. But I get it. I do get it. It is a pithy statement. It is not meant to be eternally accurate. It is
Yeah.
just meant to get an idea across, and that's it.
Yeah, kind of like the extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence thing. Everybody gets hung up on the definition of extraordinary. My favorite is when Mike Winger. So Mike Winger, he's one of my favorite punching bags of an apologist because he's just he's so stupid, but he's so smug about it. Like he's not quite Matt Powell levels of stupid. Well, actually, he might be Matt Powell levels of stupid. He just hides it better. But like, he has referred to the extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence thing statement as bottom rung atheism. It's like, as Reddit level atheism, guys. It's like, okay, if you know like, just look at who that quote is attributed to. It's usually attributed to Carl Sagan. You know what Carl Sagan didn't call himself? An atheist. How can you say it's bottom rung atheism when, one, it's Carl fucking Sagan, that guy was brilliant, and two, he didn't call himself an atheist. So it's not even an atheism thing. And then if you do just a tiny bit more digging on the statement, you'll find that it actually, like, it goes, like, the origins of that statement go so far back in history that it's one of the ones that we don't actually know who first said it, but the strongest contenders for the first person to have formulated that idea are all people who were, like, clergymen, members of the church, whose job it was to investigate miracles. So your bottom rung atheism came from clergymen.
I do think maybe there's a case to be made, like a small case, that regardless of where it originates, it is something that is said a lot by like the stereotypical fedora tipping crowd. And so that's like, there is an argument to be made about that, because I have noticed, just because of the right wing account that I've been using for getting more videos to cover, there have been a lot of videos from people like Sargon, and obviously Sargon also atheist, so not the best example, but just for like right and left issues, where they've actually taken a lot of criticisms from the left and started warping their arguments around based on those arguments from the left. Now, most of the time it's usually them hand waving it and saying leftists will tell you this, but that actually doesn't matter. But at the very least, it does show that there is a little bit of metamorphizing of those beliefs. So I don't know, just like it is a thing that is said by Reddit level atheists, even if that's not where it started. It's also a statement that is perfectly salient.
So yeah, that's the point. So my issue with Mike's dismissal of the statement is he is calling it a Reddit level atheist argument in order to dismiss it without properly addressing it.
Mm-hmm.
So
when that doesn't make any sense.
If you want to actually address it, you have to actually understand what it is saying.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I can understand that perspective. I guess I was just getting hung up on the origins of a statement aren't necessarily where that statement like eternally rests logically all the time. But no, you are right. I think I'm just getting hung up on stuff that doesn't really matter there.
Yeah. Well, anyway, one more point that I want to address from this one. Tricia McLaughlin said that in opposing these bills, she said, to most Americans, ICE officers are heroes. Latest poll I saw said that 50% of Americans want to abolish ICE. Not 50% of Democrats, 50% of Americans.
Sounds like 50% of Americans don't see ICE as heroes.
Yeah, at the very least. And another 10% were unsure. So if they're unsure, I doubt they see them as heroes.
Yeah.
And even the ones who don't want to abolish ICE, a lot of them are probably of the Chuck Schumer variety, where it's like, well, we just need them to have body cameras and not wear masks.
But we lived... And I got to live in an America as a child that did not have ICE. And
yeah, me too. No, I didn't. I lived in Canada.
You didn't live in America. You lived in Canada. Fuck off. Like I got to live in an America
that's got to come off.
Yeah, I got to live in an America that didn't have ice and didn't need it. And like we argue about how the most everybody who understands anything about like security theater knows that the TSA is kind of fucking pointless.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just security theater. It doesn't actually make anybody safer, but it makes people feel safer, and that's where the utility in it is supposed to lie. But it's
Yeah,
not.
like they've like the TSA since 9/11 has stopped a grand total of 0 terrorist attacks.
So we have that scrutiny when it comes to the TSA because the TSA personally inconveniences us, right? Like as Americans, we are generally personally inconvenienced by the TSA. So we have that level of scrutiny for the TSA, but we don't have that level of scrutiny for like other Bush era things like the Patriot Act or the formation of ICE. These are all Bush era relics that could disappear into the annals of history. Would that we allowed them
They
to.
don't need to go to the annals. They need to go to the annals of history.
The annals of history. I see.
They
You're
don't
right.
deserve the annals.
They need the anal. Can they go to the panels of history?
And John Oliver pointed out exactly what's wrong with body cameras. Was it by chance the one where he pointed out that the person who killed Renee Good was filming it himself, even without a body camera? So having a body camera wouldn't have stopped him from doing that.
Yeah, we think that the body cameras will make people like not do bad things, but the problem is that generally those people don't see themselves as doing bad things, so they'll just do them anyway. Like I'm sorry, but reality is an awkward and fickle bitch.
Fickle bitch.
It is a fickle bitch.
Okay, now we're moving on to a story that you've already covered twice, apparently.
Yay! We get to talk about Kansas again.
Yeah,
Yay!
U.S.
God,
state
I love talking
revokes.
about Kansas.
Yeah, so I'm going to bring up a thing that I don't think you're aware of yet.
Okay.
So I heard you talking about how like this, all of the driver's licenses where they had their gender markers changed were. All right. So first, for the people in my audience that might not be familiar with this, I don't know. Like, congratulations on living under a rock. I am jealous. Kansas basically sent letters out to everyone who has a driver's license who had their gender marker changed at some point, saying, "Hey, you don't have a driver's license anymore. Tough shit." And that's it. Like, there was no rectification for this. It was just like, you just don't have a driver's license now. And no, when I heard you talking about it earlier, you're talking about like, oh, they sent it to people who like they have immaculate records of people who have changed their gender markers. So this like they already have a registry of all the trans people essentially through that.
Mm-hmm.
But they have also done this for at least one trans person who has not changed their gender marker.
Oh?
She was assigned male at birth, and her driver's license said male. She had never changed it. Her birth certificate said male. She had never changed it. They revoked her license. She got caught up in it. So it's not just people who have changed their gender markers. It's anyone who is trans.
They just get caught up in it
And it's
regardless.
just, if
Also,
they
how are
find
they
out that you
gonna?
are trans, goodbye to your driver's license, essentially.
Also, like, how are they gonna? Just out of curiosity, as somebody who's been pulled over by the police a non-zero amount of times, what do you expect the police are going to do to ascertain that you are properly trans and therefore needed your gender marker updated? Are they just going to like go under your skirt real quick, or like what do you think the protocol is at that point?
Well, the
How do you
protocol
think this
should
gets
be gender doesn't
enforced?
matter, so fucking give them the ticket and get out of there, or whatever.
Yeah, like the problem wasn't that like the girlie didn't have her girl cock penis shit.
Yeah, you
My
didn't.
brain was trying to say that she didn't have her penis license, but it just misfired there. But
I've got
like
license to dick.
nobody's nobody's scrutinizing the fucking person for not having her penis license or some shit. So why should this matter? Why does the transness matter there?
It should not matter whether or not you have a penis. What gender you are does not matter for driving a car. I know there are all those stupid jokes about how women are such bad drivers.
No, you're right. We don't need to know if they're what their gender is, but we do need to know whether or not they are Chinese for a different set of terrible situations that don't actually measure how well somebody drives.
Well, I mean, also statistically, even when you adjust for population density or whatever, men are by far the most dangerous drivers. White men. So those jokes just
Sean,
have no basis in reality.
Sean Helfand says, "You live in the South. You know, gun license is a strange concept." Look, I have gone on record multiple times to explain to people the concept of euphoria. For people who may not know what that is, the trans people in my audience explained it to me, such that you get some of the stereotypical bullshit that the gender that you were not assigned at birth deals with, and that affirms your gender a little bit, but also at the same time, you weren't really happy with being catcalled. So you got euphoria.
Oh my god, I saw. So the rape culture tangent. I
Yep,
know has nothing to do with really what we're talking about. Well, it's tangentially related, but
kind of, sort of.
so people will say we don't have a rape culture because we don't like rape is against the law. We're not encouraging rape or whatever. But like, I saw a video that was a compilation of news outtakes, which are often quite amusing. So I usually watch them. It's like the weatherman discovers for the first time that he can actually like move the map by touching it, and it was kind of adorable watching him play with it. We were like, oh, that's neat. How do you? Ah, that's cool. So that's neat or whatever. But one of the things that was supposed to be funny was a female reporter on location getting catcalled repeatedly, and every time she regained her composure from the last one, someone else would go by and do it again. And we're supposed to, and she's very clearly like legitimately upset by this. She doesn't think it's funny. It's not one of those like, oh, men sort of thing. Like she was legitimately perturbed, annoyed.
Yeah, the reason that we find that funny is because of patriarchy and rape culture.
Well,
It's a
my
soft
point.
example of it.
That is rape culture. That is, we are like, she's being sexually harassed.
She's being sexually harassed.
And I am expected to laugh at that. You can't tell me that being expected to laugh at sexual harassment is not part of rape culture.
Yeah,
Like,
I think the thing that people take umbrage to specifically is the part where we use the word rape because it has such a stigma about it. And granted, definitely an earned stigma. It's not a thing that you should be fucking promoting in any way, shape, or form.
yeah, but you know who probably was laughing at a woman being sexually harassed? Someone who would rape someone. A
I mean,
rapist.
so at least we can give credit where credit is due to Sargon of Akkad. He wouldn't even rape you.
God damn it. Fuck that motherfucker.
But it's one of those things where like I covered a video recently where a dude, I think you were in the chat while I was covering the video, where the dude was taking umbrage to the concept of a trans genocide. And like I had to point out in the video, and I know that he's either not going to watch the video or not going to care, that you may take umbrage with the term, you may think that it's an eye-rolly term, but like the reason that you call it what it is not to minimize what a genocide is. It's because it's supposed to be pointing out the red flag here. Like
Yeah.
that's what you're doing. You're doing
So
the doctor is looking for the red flags for a sickness thing.
so an aspect of the story that we're talking about here that I haven't really seen discussed all that much is that Kansas is revoking like they just revoked all the trans people's driver's licenses right as federally they're trying to pass voter ID laws.
So the trans people just don't get to vote.
Yeah. You just
Fuck all y'all.
the most common ID that people are going to use to vote, you guys don't have that anymore. Guess what you don't get to do now? It just I like the timing of this is such that it's like I can't see that as an accident. Like maybe it was just serendipitous, but it's serendipitous in a way that has been meticulously set up. Like I'm not saying necessarily the Kansas legislature was sitting there being like, "Oh yeah, this would be a good time to vote on this." It's that the culture has been pushed in that direction so vehemently for the past decade that oh yeah, they're revoking birth certificates as part of this as well. So
Yes.
the thing that you would use to get a different form of ID that would be accepted for voting is no longer valid either.
And getting a birth certificate is not an instantaneous thing like a driver's license usually is, because you can get a temp driver's license. Birth certificate is always a 1 to 2 week wait. I actually got to serve jail time because of not knowing that. That was fun.
You'll have to tell me that story sometime.
I
But
mean, the T I can give the TLDR of it. It's
sure.
not a very long story. Uh, I was applying for a new job. I was in between jobs. I didn't have enough money to pay my car insurance, and I would have had enough money to pay said insurance had I gotten my job when I knew I was going to get it, because I left one job for another. But my card, my social security card, was damaged, so they needed my birth certificate to get my shit on file. My birth certificate had been stolen by my ex. I did not know it had been stolen because I don't typically go into my file drawer and check every single time to see if my shit is still there. I expect that it's just going to be there when I need it. So I went home, tried to find it, couldn't find it, thought I lost it, went to jail because when I went to my orientation for that job, a police officer pulled me over and my insurance had just lapsed. So I got to serve jail time. I got to pay $4,000 in fines, 2,000 to the court, and 2,000 to get my car out of impound, and the extra insurance cost, because when that happens, your insurance goes up a fuck ton. I got to pay a fuck ton of money that I didn't have in order to merely survive, all because I lost my document for a very short amount of time. In fact, I went to orientation because I had got my document after 2 weeks of it, waiting for it to come in the mail. And I got that very, very asinine reminder of, oh, right, when you don't have your proper papers, that can just rip away shit from you that you didn't expect or didn't think about. I found out after, I think a month afterwards, I got a text message saying, by the way, I have your birth certificate. I will trade it for the title to my car. Apparently, she couldn't find the title to the car that I had given her. And so she used my birth certificate as collateral to try to get that title.
That's bullshit.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. So, and in furtherance of my point that I was making earlier about how this is like, it's not necessarily a consciously coordinated effort, but it is definitely part of the broader push in this direction. The ACLU is tracking it. There are more than 400 bills pending before various state legislatures that would target lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people. And
Kinma says, oh yeah, I forgot insurance is required to drive now. Kinma, what? Huh?
has it not always been?
What fucking world have you been living in? I'm just curious. Did you come from a different dimension? How? What?
Yeah, driving without insurance here is a really big offense.
That's an offense in like most first world countries that I know of. Not that the United States is one.
It's a shithole country now, to borrow Trump's thing.
I remember my guild leader for World of Warcraft Classic saying in guild chat on raid night while I was on stream, America is a very functional second world country.
Would we say functional?
It's the reason it hasn't collapsed yet.
New Jersey doesn't require insurance or seatbelts?
Man, no wonder people are fucked up in Jersey.
That's why Eli
Wait,
Bosnick can still drive in Jersey.
New Jersey doesn't require. There's no way. There's no way. Fleur says it took me 5 minutes to get my birth certificate. So my problem is that I live in Georgia, but I was born in Pensacola. So my birth certificate, when I went to apply for it, I didn't get a copy directly. They had to call the state office in Florida. And this happened while I was living in Georgia, where I still live. At least that was the reason I was given.
Okay. But... oh, new hat time. Let's go Sherlock. Sorry, it's not the Sherlock hat. It's a deerstalker hat, which he was never actually described as wearing, apparently. My Hamilton reference got ignored, and now I'm sad. I didn't see a Is this a Hamilton reference? Everything is legal in New Jersey? I don't know. So to me, Hamilton is a city that's about 45 minutes away.
So apparently, New Hampshire is the only state with no auto insurance requirements.
Related to the duel. Yeah, I am aware of
Ah,
Hamilton the musical, but I have seen it once. I don't particularly care for it.
and I'm the damn fool that shot him.
Sure. So yeah, I don't have Hamilton memorized the same way I have Les Mis memorized. Make a Les Mis reference, I will get it immediately. I promise. Any other
See.
musical? Not so much, because of the tism. I've literally seen Les Mis like 8 times live. That's not including the times when I watched the 10th anniversary concert on VHS as a kid over and over and over again.
Kinma says I remember it not being a required thing at some point in the early 2000s. I don't
Les Miserables has
bel
never not been a required thing. It is required.
know the auto insurance thing. Kinma, with all due respect, I do not believe you. I have reason to believe you are either from a
Oh,
different timeline,
apparently I was
different
supposed to do the Gary
dimension,
hat.
or are a skinwalker. And all of these prospects terrify me.
Okay, moving on. We're gonna end on. Well, it's still kind of yikesy, but at least it's kind of funny yikesy.
Funny yikesy?
Funny yikesy. Callers to
Okay.
Washington State Hotline press 2 for Spanish and get accented AI English instead. So if you called the Washington Department of Licensing and press 2 for Spanish, it was just a voice speaking English but with a Spanish accent.
Press 2 for Spanish. Press 2 for Spanish.
Yeah, I mean they still
Fucking
said
hell.
they said the numbers in Spanish,
Mhm.
but everything else was just English with a very heavy Spanish accent. And apparently this went on for months before they fixed it.
Jesus fucking Christ.
So this is one of those things where, maybe AI shouldn't be taking our jobs.
Yeah,
It
probably
doesn't.
not.
It doesn't seem to be good at them.
Can we at least get UBI before AI takes over everything, please? Can we
I mean,
can we at
ideally.
least get one of these things?
So I have seen videos where they run the numbers on it. Hydrate. Thank you for the hydrate. And so if AI actually comes for the white collar jobs in the way that the AI bros are saying that they are, which press X to doubt, but if they do, then what they're talking about is creating unemployment levels that are like twice that of the Great Depression. So if that is actually the goal of these AI companies, maybe we should be doing something socially to make sure that having that much unemployment is not going to completely devastate the world.
Yeah.
Because like that is not that's not sustainable.
My question in situations like this will always be, why do you want that?
Did did you see the news about Windows 12?
Why are we already talking about Windows 12? 11 just came the fuck out.
Well, Windows 12 is apparently coming out sometime this year, and it is going to be a modular AI-based operating system with Cortana as the core. And
Okay.
they're going to be hiding certain functionality behind a paywall, a subscription paywall, not a one-time payment paywall. And I saw that news and I'm like, I am so happy that I made the jump into Linux when I did. And
Jesus
it's
fucking
actually shocking.
Christ.
I'm going to start streaming from Linux soon. I just need to get all my scenes and everything done up over there. But it is genuinely shocking to me how many things, like first time I used Linux was ages ago. Like over a decade ago was the last time I started using Linux, and there was just so much tinkering just to get basic things to work that I'm just like, yeah, okay, neat hobby, don't have time for it. Goodbye, back to
Not
Windows.
Naki Bree says Windows 11 has been out for 2 or 3 years. This is normal. No.
Well, when Windows 10 came out, Microsoft announced that it would be the last version of Windows. They would just continue updating 10 forever.
Yeah, so I refuse to accept this normal.
Yeah.
I refuse to accept this normal.
So just Microsoft lies anyway. But yeah. So that was my experience with Linux decade or more ago. This time, I've been using Linux Mint, which I installed it because I googled which one's the easiest, and everybody's like Mint. Sure, Mint is the easiest. And it's been shocking to me just how the tables have turned. There are so many things. Like, yeah, there has been more tinkering in the initial setup, and I have some I got the Go XLR working in Linux, sort of, but it's not officially supported. So like the open source things for it didn't work quite right. And there have been a few things like that but usually it's stuff to do with a weird thing about my setup. It's like if you just use browser stuff, it's fine. And it's gotten to the point where like there are things that are just easier to do on Linux than they are on Windows. And it's
Naki Breeze going general availability October 2021. I appreciate that you came with a source. Appreciate that I don't give a shit. I'm sorry. This is one of those things that I will be an obstinate old man on. We do not need this many iterations of a fucking operating system. It is wholly unnecessary.
Apparently, a guy accidentally gained control of an army of Roombas when he tried to hack his own, and then he used AI to write the script to be able to do it.
Huh.
Well, that just makes... I'm getting to be a bit curmudgeonly in my old age. I'm now starting to get to the point where when I see anything that is connected to the internet, I'm just like, who are you selling my data to?
I mean, that's not being curmudgeon-y. That's just
yeah, but like I'm
understanding
actually
the world.
I'm actually starting to like disconnect things that I had enjoyed being connected previously. It's like, yeah, using Google automations to turn lights on and off and everything is fun, but like, I'd rather just hit the switch myself and not have Google have all my information.
Yeah.
But that's also where I've been using Home Assistant as well. It is quite a bit more tinkery than something like Google's ecosystem or whatever, but like once I get it set up, it just continues to work. Like one of the issues I constantly had with Google when I had all the automations going through with them is that just occasionally there would be an update that would break something and I'd have to go tinker with it. So like as time went on, there were just more and more things that didn't work the way they were supposed to anymore, and I just hadn't bothered to fix them yet. And whereas with Home Assistant, I started installing it as soon as I moved into this house. We've been here for more than a year, and the things that I set up on day one are still just chugging along, no problem. So yeah, all this to say, fuck AI. Ditch Windows if you can. Don't give your data to Google.
Have you considered give me all your data?
Don't use apps for things that you don't need to. Like, I'm trying to lose a bit of weight now.
Yeah?
Since my treadmill broke, I've been sitting on my ass a lot more, and I have gained about 40 pounds. A lot of it, like shirts that I got a year ago, just don't fit me anymore. And I don't like it. So I am trying to lose weight. And I'm like, okay, well, as part of that, maybe I'll start actually tracking it, because then that'll, like, not going to weigh myself every day, but like if I weigh myself once a week, then maybe that'll give me like a little bit more motivation to like not get a bag of chips or whatever. And so I sat down and I was like, I like go to Google and I'm like, what is a good privacy focused weight tracking app that doesn't share your data with anyone? And then it gave me some recommendations and none of them were perfect, and everybody has complaints about this, that, and the other. And I'm like, wait a minute. I just make a spreadsheet. I don't fucking need an app for that. Why do you need an app for that? Why do you need an app to track stuff like that? You don't.
Yeah. That's fair.
So, yeah, that's the moral of this story. Let's just pretend all of that was relevant to the news story here.
It totally was. Yeah, it was all about the Washington hotline. I remember when you mentioned that. That was
It's tangentially related. It's all the AI tech bubble with like these friggin' techno fascists running our lives now.
I remember when you said words.
Yeah. Got to get the stories to be over 8 minutes.
That's I appreciate you.
All right, tweets time.
Sure.
Starting with Wall Street Apes. Says Donald Trump confirms that the UK now has courts that are enforcing Sharia law. Trump, in London, you have Sharia courts adjudicating law. We can never let Islam spread in America. We need an outright ban on Islamic Muslim immigration into America.
But wait, Donald Trump didn't confirm anything then. That was
No, he just asserted.
You just said words. That's not a confirmation. Do you just believe everything that Donald Trump says specifically? Do you not
I mean,
feel like
have
maybe
you
he
seen
has an
these people?
incentive to lie?
Have you seen these people?
I just
Jess is asking
He
if I covered their story
lies.
while they were napping. So Jassa, I don't know if you were here at the beginning of the stream, but tonight was a night when I forgot to write down who sent me what. So I don't know if I covered your story. But yeah, so I also really hate the sentiment that like we need to stop Islamic Muslim immigrant. Okay, first off, Islamic Muslim is a tautology. I'm not even going to complain about the Sharia law thing because that's one that like that's kind of like ATM machine. I don't care that the M stands for machine. It's fine, whatever. I know what you mean. But Islamic Muslim just sounds stupid because Muslims are Islamic. That's what those words mean. Like that's you don't need to say that.
Yeah.
It'd be like Christian Presbyterian.
We assumed when you said you were Presbyterian that it was a Christian denomination that you were part of. That was kind of part and parcel.
But there's also been a really huge uptick that I've noticed in Islamophobic posts.
Oh yeah, of course. Because like, how else are you going to get people on board with just killing people in Iran? How else would you do it without that? By the way, it's really I feel really weird. So like, you know how Chomsky is actually like prominently featured in the Epstein files as running fucking defense and PR for Jeffrey Epstein?
No, I didn't know that.
Okay, well that's a thing, and it's agitating as shit to me because anytime that I like want to point out that manufactured consent is a thing, I have to remind myself that Chomsky was the guy who wrote the book on that, and I want to believe the words in that book because there's plenty of evidence for the words in that book being true. But at the same time, it's really hard for me
It is tainted
to
now.
like, yeah, it's really fucking tainted in a way that I feel like it shouldn't fucking be, but it certainly is. And that's just a bit frustrating, you know?
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Ah, yes, Jewish Jews. It sounds like a Family Guy skit. What kind of Jews do you like? Jewish Jews. What? Sit in before and not lying if you believe it. It's confabulation, which is arguably worse. I don't. Confabulation? I don't know that word. That is a new word to me. I have learned a new word today.
Yeah, I got nothing. Okay, your best version says, when a girl says she doesn't understand why guys care about her body count, try asking this. How would you feel if your boyfriend had already been engaged 4 times and then he proposes to you using the exact same ring he gave to each of those 4 other women? She will suddenly get the point. I mean, first off, terrible analogy. But second off, it depends on the nature of those engagements breaking off.
Also depends on the girl, because like, so I've dated
And
women
depends
who
on the ring. Is the ring a family heirloom?
like I've dated women who will take like severe umbrage to like you getting anything that somebody else had. Like I remember there's a girl who I had in my house, and I had a pink pillow that was obviously there for an ex. And when she laid down, like I offered her that pillow, and she goes, "Oh, thank you for offering me your ex's pillow." Like just said with a lot of disdain. I'm like, whether or not you're joking, like now I feel like I've fucked up. I feel like I've made a mistake somewhere here, and I don't much like that. Like I know that there are people who are going to be really weird about shit like that, and there are other people who are going to look at that and go like, "No, you're being economical. Why would you buy this thing twice? That doesn't make any sense."
Well, so here's another issue I have with that is that now maybe I'm the weird one here, but my understanding of the engagement ring is that once you give it to the woman, it is hers. And like part of that is supposed to be if you have spent so much money on that, traditionally she is now like kind of financially dependent on you. So then if you do something to break that off, she has the ring and can pawn the ring for money to support herself, get herself back on the feet. Like that is my understanding of how the engagement ring kind of became a thing. It's like an insurance policy for the woman to say like he's actually serious about it. It's not just a whimsical, like he's not just saying it to make me happy. He's actually serious about it, sort of thing. And part of it is like the ring now belongs to her. So like,
I've also
I
heard that
if I break up with Heidi tomorrow, I don't expect her to give me the ring back. I gave it
so
to her. It is a gift. That is how gifts work.
I've also heard the version of that uh particular like nuance that if the engagement breaks off, it's also supposed to be customary to give the ring back. Like that's also a thing that I've
I mean, I
seen as a
I'm
custom.
not going to pretend that I know the customs very well, but I would not expect it back. Um, but
Like I'm not going to
aside,
pretend that either of our autistic asses could know the customs very well
but
or
I
would
I
care
also
about them.
well I also don't know nor care about her body count. It's bigger than mine.
I know Saki's is bigger than mine. I
I
don't
I
give a shit.
I don't know how much bigger than mine it is, nor do I care.
My
Hey,
thing
she
is that
probably learned some things from her previous sexual encounters that I enjoy.
if I'm in a relationship with somebody, if that person is my peace, if being around that person improves my day, makes my day
Was
like
that
function
peace
better.
PEACE or PIECE? Because
Like
that
peace, like world peace.
okay, is that depending which one you meant, that changes the context of what you're saying.
No, if a person is my peace, if I feel more comfortable when they are around than if they are not, if I feel like my day is substantially improved when they are actively a part of it, then I kind of cease caring about a lot of the particulars. Because at that point, my investment in that person is that my life is improved when that person is a part of it. So I'm just going to let that person be a part of my life in that capacity because they just make my life better. Whatever your fucking body count is, I don't have a reason to give a shit.
Yeah.
Like the only way that anybody has ever given me like any
Is
way to like
it functionally
make
it matters just as much as how many hands have you shaken.
I agree. I was going to point out that like the only way that I have seen people try to defend the body count argument is by either like pseudoscience or analogy, and it's never like what's the actual reason. It's always like Confucius say, if you have a key that opens every lock, it's a great key, but if you have a lock that is opened by many keys, it's a shitty lock. I'm like, I don't.
Okay?
Okay, that's
My dick's
fine.
not a key.
Yeah, like that doesn't mean anything to me at all.
Yeah.
Like cool analogy, but it doesn't get us anywhere.
Well, I mean, the main justification that I've heard for it is it's like protection against disease. But then I'm like,
So
I've
you take a
gotten
test.
well, I've gotten sick way more often from shaking hands than having sex.
I've gotten sick way more often by going to conventions than having sex.
Yeah. So
I'm not going to stop going to
If body
conventions.
count matters for sex, then how many handshakes you've had should also matter. They are equally important.
Every time I hear body count, my mind gravitates to how many kills you have. Yeah, what's your KDA? What's your KDA, bro?
I don't know what KDA stands for.
Kill deaths assists
Ah, okay.
is a measurement for how well you have done in a shooter game,
Okay.
or really any game with a PvP component.
Yeah. Well, body count's a stupid concept. Moving on, Elon Musk says Tesla will be one of the companies to make AGI, that's artificial general intelligence, and probably the first to make it in humanoid/atom shaping form. Do you know what he means by atom shaping?
Uh, I thought that was what happens when a trans girl gets her throat shaved.
Sure. Like, so, like, technically speaking, everything is a shape of atoms.
Yeah?
But I I I fear that Elon Musk means that to be like he's working on something nuclear, and I don't want Elon Musk to work on anything nuclear ever.
No, he's not even good at fucking tunnels.
Well, he's good at fucking tunnels, but also we are nowhere close to AGI.
What is the vagina but a tunnel of love?
Yeah, sure, but like we are. What the frick is he referring to as AGI? That's artificial general intelligence. So that is when you have an artificial intelligence that actually is self-aware. So like commander data, sort of like level of intelligence. Um, and it's not something that we're even remotely close to. Like LLMs, as much as they can convince people that they are having legitimate conversations with a thinking entity, they are just predictive text machines. That is all they are. They're calculating what statistically is the most likely next word in the sentence based on the inputs. That's all they're
Which
doing.
mean
They don't have thoughts of their own. They don't have feelings. They can emulate thoughts and feelings if they are statistically likely to be the expected output from a certain input, but they do not actually experience them. And part of the way you can tell that is that they need prompts in order to operate. They don't work unless they are prompted to work.
we used to have the philosophical experiment of the pea zombie. Like there was a thought experiment we would throw at people so that they had like this idea of a concept of a thing that required stimuli to act like a person but wasn't truly a person.
I'm convinced that Republicans are pea zombies.
That's
You want to briefly explain what a pea zombie is?
sure. A pea zombie is a philosophy zombie. A philosophy zombie is a concept of a being that looks and acts like a person. By all accounts, when you interact with it, it may as well be a person. It talks like a person, everything else. You, as a person, are unable to distinguish that this thing is anything other than a real thinking human being. But
There is no
it's
internal life.
there is no internal life there. It doesn't have any internal response to anything other than response to stimuli. It is no different than like flicking a fucking nerve ending, but when you flick the nerve ending, words come out instead of pain. There's not actually a consciousness there of any variety, but to the outsider looking in, you can't tell that there isn't a consciousness there because it seemingly thinks, it definitely speaks, it's walking around and it might even have a job or some similar shit, but it's not a person. But you're still convinced it's a person because it seems to have all the hallmarks of a person, and that's all a large language model is and does. It has all the hallmarks that we would normally look for in a person, speech and the ability to speak back, right? Like that's our line for sapience usually is like you're self-aware enough to be able to communicate. That's what makes you you. You're able to give me any of that, but that's a large language model doesn't actually have that capacity. Neither does a P zombie. Problem is, P-zombie is a philosophical concept that we didn't have a straight 100% example of until modern day, where we actually have
Where we built them.
examples of P-zombies now.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of obvious that they are P zombies because like they can't even remember their own interactions very well. So
No,
like,
they can't.
That's one of the issues with the apologist book, the novel that he's writing. I'm sure he's using ChatGPT to write good chunks of it, and one of the ways that I can kind of tell that is it just seems to like it just forgets about things. Like there's something that was made a big deal of in one paragraph, and then it just is gone forever now, and it never comes back. And that is kind of a hallmark of the large language models, is like they don't remember what even they said just a few paragraphs before.
No, because they just spit out an output.
Yeah.
That's all they do.
So, yeah. Anyway, Elon Musk number 2. So he's retweeting Rupert Lowe, who says, "Another day, another stabbing. We need to get real. I'm sick of it. We are sick of it. This is not the Britain I want to live in. British state needs to brutally crack down on knife crime." And I mean brutally. This is exactly what Restore Britain would do. And then it was a really long tweet, but basically he's calling for a crackdown on knife crime. And Elon Musk says, "How many more children must die before action is taken? Enough is enough. Act now." I would like to point out that there are 0.4 knife deaths per 100,000 people in the UK every year. There's 13.7 gun deaths per 100,000 people in the United States every year. If I had to choose between one of those two systems, I would choose the one that is smaller. And like their gun deaths are even smaller than that because it's so much harder to get a gun over there.
Yeah.
Like the UK has always been the kind of go-to example for the anti-gun control crowd who are like, oh, well, yeah, but if people can't get guns like they can't in the UK, then they'll just stab. And the UK has a rash of stabbings. It's like, yeah, they actually do have, like, they are very concerned about how many stabbings they have in the UK.
But per capita,
But when you actually look at it proportionally, the issue is so much smaller than gun violence in the States. So, like, yeah, turns out restricting limits to guns just makes your country safer.
and what was that thing that fucking so Sydney Watson's a right winger, but there was a video of hers I was watching as my channel, right wing channel, was like going through its training shit to give me stuff to talk about, where like she got presented with a problem that the problem is it's a per capita problem, right? Because that's what this is. Like per capita, you don't have the same kind of knife violence that the United States has per capita for gun violence. And she just like her way of dismissing it and ignoring it was by going defeated by per capita again. But anyway, that doesn't actually matter, and then didn't give any good reasons why it doesn't.
So,
matter.
yes, defeated by per capita.
Yeah, you were actually defeated by per capita. You just don't want to admit that per capita is an argument defeater. Okay.
Well, I mean, if you want to go by absolute numbers, it was like 200 knife deaths in the UK versus 47,000 gun deaths in the United States. So if you don't want to per capita it, knives
defeated by per capita again.
Okay. Oh, this graph I found interesting. So Jeff Weniger said, "Here's a very normal chart that we shouldn't debate or scrutinize in any way. As the growth in size of U.S. labor force, the green line is disabled people, and the black line is non-disabled." I did not vet the information in this. I don't know how accurate it is, but one of the things that I noticed is that so, like, his purpose in posting this was to be like, oh, well, people are like they've made disabled benefits so easy to get now that people are choosing to pretend to be disabled instead of actually being disabled. Like that is the argument that they're making. But do you notice what year the green part of the graph starts spiking?
COVID.
Yeah. I wonder if the thing that can cause long-term disability has anything to do with the increase in disability claims.
Have you noticed that like people seem to have memory hold COVID?
Yes, I have.
I've noticed a lot of right wingers like will will do this shit where they'll post a graph like this, and then there will be some thing that happens in 2020 that we are supposed to scrutinize, and they just like they'll never give any context for what happened in 2020 that could have caused that, and it feels so strange because it feels like as somebody who's watching like the United States go into another war where people seem to have forgotten like all of the mistakes that we made going into the war with Afghanistan. It's like everybody going, man, Islamophobia seems to have really gotten way worse. Starting somewhere around 2001, but I have no real idea how or why that could have happened. That's so strange. Just like, this just feels like it's going to be the next version of that,
Mm-hmm.
where people are just
Mm-hmm.
going to memory hole this incredibly important event that explains a lot, but they like to play coy.
Yep. So, yeah, I did not verify the data in this graph, so it wouldn't surprise me if it was just wrong or there was something else deceptive about it as well. So, I'm not even sure, I'm not even sure how you could call people who aren't in the labor force because of disability part of the labor force. So I'm not sure what this graph is even looking at. Like, are they people that are on disability but still work in some form or another?
Germany's economy seems to have tanked in the 1920s and 30s for some reason, and seems to have suddenly spiked somewhere around the late 30s and early 40s. We have no idea what explains this graph. There was no real like major event that happened around that time, but it's just details.
Yes, I know there are disabled people who have day jobs. I'm just saying that this graph is not clear exactly what it's actually looking at. The titles just don't, they're not clear enough.
Lady Badass says, "Yes, hello, person on disability here. I get a
Thank
thousand
you for the
dollars a month
hydrate.
for everything: bills, groceries, rent. And if I didn't live with my family, I'd be homeless. People
Yeah,
don't know how little people with disability actually get.
thousand
Yep,
dollars a month is nothing. That's
a
not even
thousand
rent.
$1,000 a month doesn't cover jack shit. Most places will charge you way more for your rent alone.
When I met my partner, she was living in a tiny, tiny 2 bedroom apartment, and it was 1,700 a month.
So that'd be about 1,400 US.
Sure. So go down to a 1 bedroom apartment that is also tiny. It's still going to be over 1,000.
Yep.
And we live in an area of we live in a region that is called it is colloquially called Toronto's bedroom, because so many people live here because of the cheap housing and then commute to Toronto for work. So I'm in an area where the housing is cheap, and it's 1,700 a month for a tiny 2 bedroom apartment.
There, Chikorita points out 1,079 a month plus 298 for food stamps. The rent is where they live is 580 plus power, and it's hard to get by on even that. So like food stamps being only 298 is a little wild to me, because I remember, in this is Florida numbers, but 2010 when I graduated, and I was just then experiencing people getting on food stamps because their wages were not high enough to support themselves. Most people tended to get like between 150 and 200 on food stamps, and groceries were like a fifth of their current cost in 2010. Maybe closer to a fourth, but still, it's crazy to me that those numbers don't get to go up higher. And I know that like Sarah lives in the New York area where things are generally more expensive in general. So, man, this whole system's broken.
Mm-hmm. Joey Manorino says James Tallarico must be defeated in Texas by any means necessary. If he is able to win, he is without any doubt a future Democratic presidential candidate. I hope not. He would be so milquetoast. He's. I don't dislike him, but man, I wish Crockett won.
So I wanted Crockett, but I talked with my editor a little bit about that, and it turns out that Crockett, her only real good thing is that she is able to go viral on the internet. Like she can bash Republicans and then go viral as a result of that. But polling shows that she loses to most every Republican candidate, and she's also accepted a bunch of fucking APAC money and
Has Tallarico
just
gotten APAC money?
let's see here.
I'm going to assume yes until you tell me otherwise.
Let's find out. Uh, how is his name spelled? Dorito just put up the archive thing. Republicans are boosting Jasmine Crockett ahead of critical. Oh yeah, that's another thing. Republicans were actually trying to get Jasmine Crockett more publicity because they knew that they could beat her. She was an easier candidate to beat. But
I
looking
mean,
here,
the Democrats did that to Trump, and look where that got them.
yeah, it was a stupid fucking idea. So didn't Crockett support Israel in a vote or something like that? She did that too. Let's see here. Lady Badash. I thought I was looking. Hold on. APAC funding.
Sean Helfand said that he has no APAC money.
Track APAC. There we go. I was looking at Open Secrets and
Okay.
was
You figure that out while I read the rest of the tweet. He says,
absolutely.
he has warped the Holy Bible into a defense of Democrat values and should be damned to hell for eternity for doing such a thing. Paxton absolutely can beat this guy, but there has to be a concerted effort to expose this parasite of a human being named James Tallarico. So, anyone can warp the Holy Bible into supporting any position they goddamn want to. But it's easier to do it for some positions than others. And it seems to me that the taking care of the poor and needy are the ones that are easier to make the Bible support.
Okay, Jasmine Crockett. Oh, that's so cool. When I click it, it doesn't bring up just her. It brings up everybody. That makes it way easier to find who I am looking for. Thank you. Let's see here. She has accepted 86,000 from APAC. To be fair, that is actually in the low numbers compared to like Tony
Yeah.
Gonzalez's 3 million,
I mean,
Chip Roy's
maybe
312,000.
I've just been spoiled by Cat, but I feel like any APAC money is a big red flag.
Any APAC money is a big red flag. I believe AOC has actually received some as well, though, if I remember. Let me see here. What was the specifics on AOC? Nope, never mind. AOC's received 0. I was incorrect.
Okay.
Apparently, Tallarico did attend group events that were APAC sponsored back in 2019, but now he openly disavows them completely. So, if that is a
Okay.
true thing, points
Okay.
for personal growth.
Yes, if it is true that he. Okay, here we go. Tallarico explicitly supports Israel's right to exist as a Jewish democratic state and as fundamental self-defense. However, Tallarico draws a firm line against what he describes as excessive force. He has accused Netanyahu's government of bombing civilians. Has used the genocide word. He labeled them atrocities and war crimes, so close. I'm not seeing anything about funding. He has never accepted a dime from APAC. Okay. Okay, I suppose just on that one specific issue, that does kind of bump him a little bit ahead of Crockett.
Hakeem Jeffries has received 5.5 million. Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, okay. Get dark money out of politics. Just like no more PACs. Just eliminate PACs.
The super PAC is not a thing that existed 60 years ago, and it does not need to exist right now. At least
No.
I believe it was 60 years ago when the super PAC started existing. Correct me if I am wrong, chat, on the
I don't know.
timing there.
I don't know, but it was it was that one Supreme Court decision. What is it? The one that said corporations are people. I'm blanking on what it was called, but it wasn't all that long ago, and that is where the dark money really started to hit the fan.
The first super PAC was created in 2010.
Yeah, so that would have been Citizens United. That's the one. So that would have been shortly after Citizens United, because then suddenly it's like, oh well, corporations are people. So this corporation would like to support this politician.
Yep, it was Citizens United, and then SpeechNow.org got funded as the first super PAC as a result of that ruling.
Yeah, so that needs to be reversed. Hey, while we're abolishing ICE, we can abolish super PACs.
I would definitely think that is a good thing.
Okay, Ken Ham says scientists have not proven that the Earth is billions of years old because they determine the Earth's age with fallible methods based on unproven assumptions, as opposed to your completely bulletproof method of assuming that the Bible is true and that Bishop Ussher's calculations were reasonably accurate.
Well, Bill, I have this book.
Yeah. A book that says that bats are birds and that pi is equal to 3. And yes, I know the pi is equal to 3 one is not necessarily the most robust criticism of the book.
The bats are birds one is also not a super...
Yeah, it's more of a linguistic quirk. But I feel like if there really was an all-powerful, all-knowing God behind it, he could have made it clearer.
I feel like it's easier to just say, hey, Christians, where in your Bible does it say the earth is 6,400 years old? And when you find that it doesn't say that anywhere, and the only justification you have is adding up the ages of a bunch of these characters whom you can't actually get the ages of in any meaningful way, I'm sorry, but that is not an accurate way to determine anything.
Dark Falcon, how do you even get to pi equals 3? So there's a passage that describes a giant basin, and it gives the measurements for the basin, and it's a circular basin. And when you do the pi calculation on the measurements that it gives, it comes out to exactly 3. However, there are things like, well, it didn't say to measure it from this spot on the circumference, and like the stone that it was made out of would have been so wide, so like depending on where you measure it, it could, and like whatever. It doesn't actually.
Dorito says there was this one creator who compared the 4 gospels, comparing the angels who opened the tomb if Jesus was there. It was some weird Canadian creator, but I don't remember his name.
I mean, I did read through the Gospels for various...
I feel like that can describe you or Apologia just fine.
I'm not particularly happy with how my videos turned out where I was reading through the Gospels and going through the contradictions in the stories. Because I didn't script those. I was just kind of rambling off the top of my head. There were a lot more ums and ahs than I liked.
Dorito says it was your Christmas special.
My Christmas, like this year?
He also says, fuck you, Rhino, I liked them.
Okay. I know, lots of people did. That's why they're still up. I'm allowed to not like my own shit.
So, no, it was from like 6 years ago. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I got
Dorito, your memory is long.
And I got I know the videos he's talking about. I got a lot of positive feedback on those videos. And I, like, that's exactly where, like, the disconnect between being a creator and their audience comes in, because, like, those are some of the videos that I'm the least proud of that I have ever made, but I've gotten a lot more positive comments about them than I have from a lot of other videos, like some of the ones that I actually am proud of. So it's weird. It's one of those weird things where, like, the videos you put the least amount of effort into and you're the least proud of are the ones that do the best. Whereas the one now where I'm, like, ordering research material off of Amazon that I'm putting a shit ton of work into is probably just going to, like, yeah, it's just going to fail.
Always the case. I need to use the restroom real quick though, unless Ken Ham's the last one we got.
No, I'm pretty sure Wendell's going to be the last one. We got a Pedro.
Ah, fuck it. That's short. Let's see what we can do.
No
Let
income
me see if
tax
I
in
can hold it.
history has ever stopped at just high earners. But that's not an excuse not to tax the high earners.
Yeah, that's not an excuse not to tax them. Also, like
Do have.
the point of the income tax. Also,
Okay, we'll do Gary this
I've
one.
I've also come around on the property tax thing. Because I know that like my position before was very like I don't think that this thing that says that somebody that doesn't have any money should suddenly be kicked out of their house. I believe that in that case we should have a special provision for people who do not have funds. But at the same time, I think that things would be way worse if we did not tax landlords for the property that they own. So I've come around on that particular issue. When it comes to the income tax thing,
It's like, yeah, no,
if you
it doesn't stop at the high earners. It just goes to a smaller percentage as you go down the income scale.
yeah, and like for everybody that gets like mad at their tax money being taken out, you know that if you had to personally pay for the concrete to make the road better, you'd be spending more money overall. If you had to personally pay for the money to pay for school for your kids, you'd be spending more money overall.
Hey,
if you had to personally
Sis,
pay,
we can actually do this for realsies. How much do you
Yeah?
spend on healthcare premiums in a year? Or
How
just
much do I
any
spend on
healthcare
healthcare
related
premiums?
costs at all? How much do you spend on healthcare in a year?
I don't want to think about it. That's
Can you give a ballpark? Give a ballpark.
with or without government subsidies.
Uh, money out of your own pocket.
So, right, with or without government subsidies.
I don't know what a government subsidy would look like.
A government subsidy is what makes the ACA function. I can tell you what I can tell you what the healthcare cost looks like when you don't have the ACA behind you. And so without tax you wouldn't have the ACA. It looks like $500 a month for somebody in their 20s.
Okay, what's it look like with the ACA?
With the ACA, it depends on your income, but for me it's about $100 a month.
$100 a month, so that's $1,200 a year.
Mm-hmm.
You want to take a stab at what I pay for healthcare for my family of 7?
How much?
$700 a year.
Fuck you, dying of fire.
Yeah.
I hate Canada, and I'm so happy that we tried to kill them in the Fallout universe.
So there we go. So yeah, when you pay for things through taxes, it turns out they end up being cheaper.
Gideon says temptation to flee to Canada growing.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's getting worse because we've got the premier in Ontario who wants to turn our healthcare system into the state's healthcare system for who knows what reason. He's being paid by drug companies or something, I'm sure.
Ask yourself, where is the money?
Yeah. Yep, Fennec, you don't need to tell me that I don't want that system. I am perfectly happy with that is why I was so confident going into that comparison with Cirrus, that like even when you consider government assistance or whatever, he's still paying shit ton more than me.
And by the way, that's the amount for an individual.
That's also just the premiums, right? Like it's more if you actually have to go to a hospital or something, right?
Yeah, I didn't count our copay.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ.
So yeah, healthcare is good. Wendell, this will be the last one.
Yay! Hi, Wendell.
So Rushy said, I don't say this to be edgy or disrespectful. I just genuinely feel like the world would be a better place without religion. I mean, see that whole thing earlier about how Christian apologetics leads to modern day genocide apologetics? That's kind of where I'm at this point. Like, I am now at a point where if somebody tells me that they're a Christian, I'm assuming that they're a bad person until they tell me otherwise. Until they show me otherwise through their actions.
Like, I can agree with the sentiment of the statement, but the problem is that it feels like it only exists in a world where there are Abrahamic religions. Like, that's all that exists. Because, like, you can have religions that just kind of naturally outcrop themselves from habits and culture.
Happy to see Wendell.
Well, because Wendell means I get to piss.
Uh-huh.
But, like, there are religions that can just not spontaneously, but like over time of a society practicing a certain set of traditions over time, these things kind of get morphed into a religion. That can happen. So like there's never going to be a world where you can fully eliminate these things, but most cultures having habits that end up coalescing into a religion doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get the mandate to expand, which is what Islam and Christianity have. They have a mandate to expand, and that's why you get wars as a result of them.
Yep. Yeah. And but Wendell's response to this, of course, is that the atheistic communist death toll in just 1 century far exceeds the cumulative death tolls from all religious wars in the history of man.
You're talking about the Black Book of Communism, the one that says that 100 million people died as the death toll in it, and the death toll that's shown in the Black Book of Communism is actually an inflated death toll, and it was one of the main criticisms of that book by the peers and even people who tried to help edit it. But the main author...
You're putting way too much effort into this. This
Yeah?
can be defeated with 2 little words.
Yeah?
Per capita. What percentage of the world's population was wiped out by the atheistic communist regimes as compared to the percentage of the world population that was wiped out by the 30 Years' War?
How many people died in the 30 Years' War?
A lot. It was like it was, by percentage of population, it was by far the deadliest war in human history, maybe with the exception of World War II.
Curses! Defeated by per capita again!
So like, yeah, there's that whole thing, and then there's also the thing of like the atheist regimes were not killing in the name of atheism, and they were trying to replace religion with worship of the state of a sort.
Like a lot of that was Stalin going, I don't like you guys having power, and therefore I'm going to strip it away from you.
Yeah.
Which kind of like, it's not the first time we've seen that happen, because like the reason that the King James Bible exists at all was for a similar reason, right?
Yep.
It was a way to maintain power.
Yeah.
He just wanted to maintain power through having people keep their religion, which is a very Roman tradition. And whereas Stalin wanted it to be purely like atheistic, but it wasn't the atheism that made him a shitbag. It was, being a totalitarian dictator.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So defeated by per capita and by having a basic understanding of nuance. As well as all that Black Book of Communism stuff that you were getting into, where the death tolls were largely inflated. But like, it's also, is that the one where like it's hard to parse the deaths from like when people starve to death in the middle of a famine.
Yeah, it attributes,
and that famine
deaths
was partly
from...
caused by like the communist regime having Lysenkoism being their thing.
Yeah,
like how much, like a famine probably would have happened then anyways. So how many of those deaths do you attribute to just the natural famine, and how much do you attribute to the communist regime? That's a really hard calculation to do.
Man, the AI overview is so bad. It is so bad. Holy shit. So I just wanted to Google for a quick thing. How many people died due to capitalism? And the AI overview says, estimates regarding deaths linked to capitalism vary widely, with some analysis suggesting over 100 million deaths in the 20th century due to colonial wars, famines, and conflicts. Other studies focusing on broader definitions suggest over 158 million from wars and violence since the Russian Revolution. I feel like
that's the Black Book of Communism numbers.
It literally cites the Black Book of Capitalism. Like,
it's coming for our jobs, Cyrus.
Well, like that. So the Black Book of Capitalism is a thing. It was made in 1998. I believe this was a thing that was made as a It was published 1 year after the Big Black Book, the Black Book of Communism.
We know where Cyrus's mind is. We know what Cyrus was Googling before the stream.
Let's see here.
It's like BBC stands for Big Black Communist Book.
Let's see here. So apparently I didn't know this book existed. I feel like I should have known this book existed, but this book attributes, so actually no, the AI overview was correct in this case, because it starts pointing out all of the different ways that people have died as a direct result of capitalism, whether it be like the imperialist regimes that have come out as a result of us trying to get fucking oil, or people dying because they've not been able to afford food when we didn't have food scarcity, shit like that. It uses the same techniques to come to a number that is well over like 150 million, and it doesn't try to go for that number. Apparently, the primary goal of the book was to comprise a series of independent works from various writers who each voiced their independent critiques on various aspects of capitalism. It just so happened that it got to a bigger number than the Black Book of Communism. Huh. I didn't know this thing existed. I feel like I should have known this thing existed.
Okay, well, now you got something to add to your reading list.
Yay!
Yeah.
After I get done with all of the Halo books, of which I now know there are 36.
Yeah, I would not be reading all of that. Okay, so that's the end of the stream. Are you streaming after this? After you pee?
So I'm doing two streams after this, actually. The first one is going
He's
to be
going
in the
pee.
pisser.
Yeah.
And then, yes, I do have one more topic that I want to cover before the day is out, and I will be doing that
Okay.
when I get back.
I shall raid you then. So, thanks for joining me, and as always, fuck off.